Welcome to First Down Sports Podcast, NFL Edition. Here's your host, Wray and Andy.
He gets to do what every single one of us want to do to our employers, and that's flip the bird.
This game featured, Ray, what I would consider two of the worst referee moments and replay moments of the entire season.
Green 17, Omaha, Reed, hut, go.
There you go, Andy. What did you think of the new intro?
Excellent. Very, very, very impressed. Thanks very much, Jason Kenney, with that radio voice. Wow.
Jason Kenney. Now, he was feeling a little bit under the weather last night when he recorded that for us.
Really?
But you got to give a shout out to Jason Kenney, the number 2 Eagles fan in Atlantic Canada.
Number 2. All right. I don't even want to ask any questions about that.
Well, you know LeBron James, Jamie Drysdale.
Oh, yeah?
He's got to be number 1 because he's number 1 in everything.
That's a good point.
So, right. Knowing that fact, I got to give Kenny number 2. But
awesome. Well, awesome new intro. We'll hand off directly to our awesome sponsors. This episode is brought to you, as always, by Moose Light. This stuff is scary good.
Scary good.
If you need a shirt, a hat, socks, anything that's similar to this apparel we're wearing right now with logos and cool things like that, go see our buddies, the Doyles down the street, Doyle Corporate Image.
Doyles rule.
The Doyles do rule, Ray. And it's time to talk some NFL for the week.
Yeah, so we got 3 topics again this week, Andy. So I did a little bit of research on 3 topics, and we're going to talk a little bit about rookie quarterbacks in this first topic. But
I always do.
I didn't feel there was a big need to talk about rookie quarterbacks this week. But our first 3 topics, we're going to talk about the Browns-Raiders game. What the heck happened, Andy? We'll find out about that in a second.
Yep.
We're also going to talk about Earl Thomas' situation.
Yeah. Flipping the bird.
We're going to have no flipping the birds here, right?
Okay.
All right.
That all happened before we...
We're going to talk about that. And then
we roll camera.
And we've just finished our first month of NFL football. It's hard to believe the first quarter of football is gone.
It is.
And we're going to name our top 3 teams to see if there's been any change from the start of the year.
Yeah, spoiler alert with mine, there's a change.
Mine too.
Yeah. All right.
Here we go. Let's talk Browns and Raiders. What? So let me just set this up for you.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield's playing great in this football game. Now he did turn the ball over a few times in this game. I'll let you talk about that.
Yep.
But they were in this game right till the end, and at one point, Baker they had scored. Chubb had run a 40-yard touchdown.
Oh, it was longer than that. Yeah,
it was long.
Yeah.
It was a big run.
Yeah.
They take the lead. The Raiders come back. They drive the field. They go for 2. They make it. And then there's about a minute left to go in the game, and the Browns have the ball with 3 timeouts. And I'm like, okay, Baker's going to take them downfield here. I left the room for 2 seconds, and next thing I know, the Raiders have the ball with 40 seconds left to go in the game, and they end up tying the game to go into overtime.
So much happened in this game, Ray. Here's how I would sum up the game. The Browns gave the Raiders and the referees every chance in the entire world to take the game away from them, and that's on them. This game featured, Ray, what I would consider 2 of the worst referee moments and replay moments of the entire season, and despite that, I still don't blame them more than I blame the Browns. There were 2, but we'll get those out of the way really quickly. So there were a lot of bad calls in this game. I'm going to be honest with you. The refs actually had some stupid calls against the Raiders too. There was a rough in the passer penalty against on Baker Mayfield that was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. It wasn't even close. But these 2 plays. Number 1, there was a fumble, right, where Myles Garrett got Derek Carr, and that ball came out while Derek Carr was standing completely upright, and they whistled it dead saying ball in the grass or something like that, or play in the grass. I don't know what it was, but it was ridiculous, and it was a surefire touchdown. He picked it up. He was going to walk in. They screwed that call up. And then the bad one was with the game on the line, all the Browns needed was 1 first down, and they would have been able to kneel out the clock and get the Raiders to use up their one last timeout. Carlos Hyde got that one first down. It was called a first down on the field. They brought the sticks out to measure it. It was still a first down. And then the booth, because it was inside 2 minutes, decided to review it and apparently claimed that they have indisputable video evidence that it wasn't actually that he didn't get there. Whatever. At the end of the day, what happened was the Browns they had multiple opportunities to put the game away and just kept giving the other team and the referees a chance. And in the end, both the other team and the referees took that. The spot that you were talking about where Baker Mayfield took over, they ran the ball on first down, ran the ball on second down, and then with 3 yards to go, and he was actually getting them we were getting close to, I thought we were going to make it to field goal range. And then on third down with only 3 yards to go, I believe it was, Baker Mayfield took a very uncharacteristic chance, and he threw the ball up the left-hand sideline like a long throw, like way more yards than he actually needed. And the safety was able to get there in time easily and picked the ball off, and then the Raiders took it over there. That's when you picked up the game. Clock ran out, and then we went to overtime. And again, in overtime, the Raiders got the ball to start. The Browns, John Gruden attempted a 50-some yard field goal with the kid after thinking he was going to try a punt, missed it. Browns take the ball over, go 3 and out, and have to it was so pathetic. The Browns could be 4-0 right now. They could be 0-4.
Right.
At this point, this coaching staff cannot overcome these mistakes.
Hugh Jackson's got to go.
Well,
I really do think, Andy, that Hugh Jackson's. I mean, I think they're going to ride out the year with him. I don't think they're going to fire him mid-season, but he's done at the end of the year.
This next game's a division game against Baltimore, who's playing amazing, and then they have the Chargers. If they don't win these 2 games, or at least one of them, and if it's only one of them, it has to be Baltimore. Yeah, I don't think they're going to make a change mid-season because they got 2 hot-headed coordinators that have both been head coaches before, Todd Haley, Greg Williams. Not sure either one is willing to work for the other one. Not sure either one is fit to take over as interim coach. They'll ride it out, but they'll probably, he will be already gone in their minds perhaps. But if he does beat Baltimore, and dare I even say beat both teams, which I think the team has, they scored 42 points in that game. I mean, we'll see. We'll see, Ray. But
I think Williams needs to put a bounty on Flacco this week. What do you think?
If there's any player in the NFL that I would be okay with there being a bounty put on, Flacco's one of them. Big Ben's the other one. And Andy Dalton, I may have listed him in the past, but because he's the favorite, the number one quarterback in the entire city of Buffalo, and you're a big fan, I won't do that to him. The only positive I'll take from the game, Ray, is I am just as convinced after this game as I was after the one before that Baker Mayfield is the man.
Yeah,
absolutely. We have a quarterback. We have a quarterback, and other than that, the rest of the game, I'm still a little heartbroken over the whole thing. So.
Yeah. You were a little quiet after the game, so I knew there was a little.
Well, it was also a late game, right? A 5 p.m. I hate the 5 p.m. start. We're in Atlantic Canada, folks, so there's no such thing as a 4 p.m. start here. It's a 5 p.m. start. I feel like your entire. I was up at 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. I feel like I was over here. I was out for a ride on the motorcycle. I stopped here. I watched almost the first half of the Bills game with you. I felt like my day was over when the Browns game started. You're supposed to relax on Sunday, get ready for that Monday at work, but instead I get completely strung out between 5 and 8. Totally upset, go to bed upset, wake up upset. It's just not a good start to the week.
Not a good start to the week.
All right.
Earl Thomas, he gets to do what every single one of us want to do to our employers, and that's flip the bird.
I'd like to say I like my boss, and I would not flip the bird.
Come on, Andy.
No, I'm not. That's my story. Sticking to it, right?
All right. Off air, he tells me something different, folks. But let me tell you this. He gets to do what 99% of us want to do, and that's flip off his boss. Before we get into the ins and outs of this, did he have a reason to do this? What do you see? Was he justified in doing what he did?
Okay, so justified is a strong word.
It is just.
Did he have a reason to? Sure. We all have reasons to do things, especially spur of the moment. So did he have a reason to do it? Yes. Was he justified in doing it, Ray? That I'm not sure. Let's put it this way. I guess if he firmly believes in it and he's waking up the next day still proud of that moment, then yes, he was justified. I doubt he was.
I don't know if it was very tasteful. And you know what I think? Really made it even more distasteful was the teammates, the teammates on the other sideline all patting him on the back as he was going off the field. It was an ugly scene for the Seattle Seahawks and the NFL.
The camaraderie amongst teammates in the NFL is it's different, right? It's not like a bunch of high school kids that are teammates, because at the end there's so much money at play here. There's almost like a tier system with these guys. I mean, everybody knows you're in this league to make money. You want to make as much money as you can possibly make before you're ultimately finished your career at a very young age of probably early 30s if you're lucky. So you're out there
and hope to walk afterwards.
Absolutely, and hope to be healthy and be able to, play with your kids and do all that stuff, right? So the camaraderie it's a different understanding amongst these guys. So I can actually understand his teammates patting him on the back and probably his teammates not even caring about the bird flipping at the ownership or the fans or you name it. They all support this guy, I'm sure, because all the players are in this together, right? And if a guy like Earl Thomas or even a guy like, all the guys that reset the market, Le'Veon Bell's trying to do that, and we'll get to that later. The holdouts, Aaron Donald, things like that. These guys that reset the market for their position are heroes. Right. Kirk Cousins got guaranteed money for a quarterback. First time ever, he was a hero amongst the players. So I don't think that the teammates, I guess that makes it look a little bit worse for ownership, but I understand that part.
So, all right, you just mentioned Bell.
Yeah.
So we've got a player here, Earl Thomas. He's on a franchise tag. He wanted to have a long-term deal in the offseason, right? Didn't get that done, so he was playing under the franchise. And let's face it, folks, if he gets hurt in his franchise year, there's no guaranteed contract next year. And that's the biggest problem for these players right now.
Yeah.
And the problem is with the rules in the NFL right now is at a certain point, if you haven't signed a long-term deal, you can't negotiate with that player until the end of the season, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. So now you have Bell out because he doesn't want to sign his franchise tag. Earl Thomas is a safety, right? The play's coming at him. He can see what's going on. Running backs take a pounding in the NFL.
Sure.
So Bell is a little hesitant to come in and play. Now, after seeing what's happened with Earl Thomas, how quick are you to get off your couch to go back to work and take that risk of playing under your franchise?
Yeah, this is an interesting example you're bringing up, or an interesting scenario you're playing out. Here's what I think's going against Le'Veon Bell, Ray. There are 3 franchise-making positions in the NFL. You want your franchise quarterback, you want your franchise cornerback, and then you want your pass rusher. And then there's one step down, there's a tier. You definitely want that elite left tackle, though that seems to be less important than previously, and a game-changing number 1 wide receiver. Okay? Running back is so far down the list, Ray. I don't know that it could be any further down before you hit a kicker. And Bell wants to reset the market, and he's already 30. So he's got the number working against him. He's got the fact that he's been playing on the franchise tag, multiple times. Pittsburgh does not want to, and he's kind of a knucklehead. Yeah. He's a knucklehead. So, there's not a great relationship between him and the team. I understand why the team's not paying him. I understand why he's not reporting. If I'm Le'Veon Bell, though, there's no position that you can come in cold and start playing well faster than running back. Yeah. There's no position less important to try and find than a running back. Look at Saquon Barkley, man. Listen, remember me preaching, do not take a running back that high. Do not take a running back that high. Well, look what's going on now in the Giants. They're not winning games. Their Hall of Fame quarterback isn't playing very well, and this running back's not saving the day. You can find a running back anywhere. So that's working against them. So if I'm Le'Veon Bell, and I look at what the Earl Thomas situation, it doesn't change my mind at all. He came out and said, look, I want to rejoin the team during the bye week so that he can practice all week and start playing week 8. He has to do that because there's a threshold in which he has to report, right?
I heard today on another podcast I listened to that by week 10, if he hasn't reported and played, then his free agency status is at risk for the next year
because he doesn't have enough accumulated games for that for it to count as a season. Right. So of course, what he's going to do is he's going to come back during the bye week, have a whole week to get ready. So he's ready for week 8 to face who would it be, Ray?
The Cleveland Browns.
Because it happens every time. Yeah. Big Ben's out. He's hurt. Oh, I'm eyeing the Browns game for the comeback. They all do this to us. But anyways. I think Le'Veon Bell had his plan. I don't think the Earl Thomas situation, and it's unfortunate what happened to him, but I don't think that changes his mind. I think he will come back because he's leaving too much money on the table, and his whole goal is to get paid a long-term contract. He doesn't have a lot of years left before that number above 30. I don't care how fresh his legs are. He's over 30.
Over 30.
He's not going to get it.
LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, you got it.
There you go. 30 years old.
So I don't think it changes his mind. I think I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to face the Browns on week 8.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
All right, that's topic number 2. So let's get into topic number 3 real quick. So listen, we made some predictions at the beginning of the year who our top 3 were.
Well, I wouldn't call them predictions. We ranked the teams at that point.
Yeah.
Subject to change as the games
play
out, right?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And we're now done the first quarter of the season. And I think it's time to revisit our top 3 teams of the NFC and AFC.
Okay.
Here's the interesting thing. When we started the season, I was like, the NFC is stacked. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good football teams in the NFC. I don't know if I feel that way today, Andy.
No, there's some good teams in the NFC that have held off on showing it, I think, so far. I do think the NFC is stronger than the AFC, but not nearly by as much as we thought. Yeah. That's what I'd put. Yeah.
All right, let's get going. Do you want to go NFC or AFC first?
Let's go NFC. We'll save the AFC, our conference, for afterwards. Do you want to go first or me?
Okay, I'll go first.
All right, let's hear it.
I think the very first one is easy. I don't think they're the number 1 pick of the NFC. I think they're the number 1 pick of the NFL, and that's the LA Rams.
Sure.
I mean, these guys, defense, offense, coaching, these guys have it all. Like, this is a good football team.
For sure.
What are your thoughts?
I agree with you 100%. They're my number 1 team in the NFC. You'll notice that when I run through my teams here, a stat that I use to help my arguments or really help me make up my mind is point differential. The Rams are plus 73, Ray, and undefeated.
Right.
They are the number 1 team in the NFL right now. This revolutionary offense that McVay has them running is so fun to watch and so hard to defend. And they actually have it. So unlike, teams like the Saints, that don't, or KC score a ton of points but can't really stop you from doing anything, so they just have to outscore you. The Rams don't have to outscore you.
No.
But they're just going to.
They're going to.
Yeah, so number 1 for sure.
Watch out for them. Number 2. So I kind of struggled with my number 2. What's interesting, my number 2 when we first did this was Green Bay, Minnesota. I was fighting with. They don't even make my top 3 now.
Okay.
With Wentz back, I know their record's 2-2 right now. Mm-hmm. I've got to put the Super Bowl champions at number 2 in the NFC right now.
Okay, wow. They're not on my list.
Okay.
They've actually played poorly enough to fall off. Usually I give the Super Bowl champs a break, especially with their quarterback coming back. But I just can't do it right now. My number 2 team in the NFC is actually the Saints. Now, hear me out for a second. Now, not the greatest point differential. We're talking plus 16. They're 3-1. The stat that got me for the Saints, though, is they're 2-0 on the road. And I think that's, the knock on Breeze in that team has always been, how does he play when he's not in the Superdome? Well, they're 2-0 on the road.
Yeah.
So that gets them on my list. So number 2 for me is the Saints.
Well, they're my number 3.
Okay, they're number 3?
They're my number 3. Who do you got at 3?
My number 3 team will shock a lot of people. And we have some friends of the podcast that are big fans of a team that wears green and yellow and cheese on their head. And they'll hate this because my number 3 team is the Chicago Bears.
Oh, well, and they were my runner-up fourth. Yeah.
Plus 46-point differential.
Yeah.
I understand that there's one game that kind of did a lot of that. Mitch Trubisky, 6 touchdown passes.
6.
That's not going to happen again, folks. That is not going to happen again. But he decided, you know what? I'm going to Fitzpatrick. That's what he did. 6 touchdowns. Khalil Mack, best defensive player in the league, arguably. And they went out and got him. And they went out and got Gruden. Sure, Gruden got his first win in overtime against the Browns. He still looks like an absolute idiot for letting this guy go. So right now, do I expect this to continue? I kind of hope it does. But I wouldn't put money on it right now. But yeah, number 3 for me is the Bears. I can't give it to anybody else.
Good for you. I had them mention it runner-up. The team for me that's the most disappointing in the NFC right now has got to be the Minnesota Vikings. 1-2-1. I mean, Kirk Cousins.
You saw firsthand just how horrendous that team can be. Again, I was watching the game as well because the Browns played Thursday night that game. The Bills look great. I don't want to take anything against them in that particular game. The next Bills performance after that kind of
reality check.
Yeah, reality check. But that being said, I mean, I don't think the Vikings showed up to that Bills game, taking them very seriously, but that was bad. That was bad. So that shows you how bad it could be. Yeah, absolutely. Super disappointing, the Minnesota Vikings. I think there's time for them to turn that around. And then otherwise, that entire NFC West of Seattle, the Niners now that Jimmy G's out, is kind of weird. And then the NFC East too. Like the Giants are boring. The Cowboys, Ray, are boring. I don't care that they won that game by 2 this weekend. The Cowboys are boring.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not. You're right. The NFC. The more we talk about it, not nearly as strong as we thought.
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's go AFC.
You start the AFC.
You want me to start the AFC? My number 1 team in the AFC is a team we already mentioned, and it's a team that scores a ton of points and doesn't really play defense whatsoever. They got manhandled last night, as we're recording this on a Tuesday. Yet, again,
still won.
Their young quarterback making plays with his left hand at one point. I mean,
did you see that? That was amazing.
Amazing play.
Amazing play.
The announcers didn't realize he threw it with his left hand until they saw the replay, and then they completely lost it.
I know.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs are my number 1 team in the AFC. Again, I don't know that a team, for you to win a Super Bowl, you have to be exceptional in one phase of the game and just at least good in the other 2. Kansas City is exceptional offensively. They're exceptional special teams wise.
Yes.
And they're horrendous
on
defense. So when I say you need to be exceptional in one phase and good in the other 2, we have a situation here where they're exceptional in 2 and absolutely horrendous in the 3rd, and I don't know that equation works as well. Yeah. But as of right now, KC's number 1.
They're number 1.
Yeah.
Same with me too.
Yeah.
I love this Patrick Mahomes. Right arm, left arm. It doesn't seem to matter what this kid. He gets the job done. Plus, Sammy Watkins pulled a classic. Sammy Watkins got hurt last night. Spent the rest of the game in the dressing room.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, when you look at the talent around this kid, between Kelsey, Watkins, Hill, they have a lot of talent.
There's a lot of weapons
around this guy.
A lot of weapons on that team.
All right. Number 2.
Number 2 might shock you, might not. I haven't looked over at your list yet, but my number 2 team has a plus 58 point differential, right? They play in a pretty tough division. There's another team in their division that has the same record as them, but I'm very impressed with this team because their quarterback is under a lot of pressure. There's a first-round rookie sitting behind him that everybody thought would have already taken over the job by now. But this guy is saying, well, no, I'm a pretty good quarterback. I've won a Super Bowl, spoiler, and I can still play. And on top of that, this team has a very good defense and extremely good special teams.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens are my number 2 AFC team right now. And that hurts me very much because they're the Browns. They're the reskinned Browns. But that's okay. I'm not bitter at all that they took our team and won 2 Super Bowls. Baltimore Ravens.
I really struggled with Baltimore and my pick. I love everything that's going. I shouldn't say I love. I like what's going on in Baltimore right now. I love Joe Flacco. I like you said, their defense and their special teams are fantastic.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco's doing what he needs to do to put points on the board, enough points on the board to win ball games. I don't like how they're bringing in Lamar Jackson for all these gadget plays.
No, the one game they quit doing that crap was an easy win for them. It throws the offense off. It disrupts it.
I don't know why they're doing it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I didn't take them in my number 2 slot.
Okay.
And I took the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jags. Okay.
And I mean, again, phenomenal defense. You don't have to talk about their defense. I'm going to talk about Doug Marrone. And as mad as I was at Doug Marrone as a football fan because of what happened with the Bills, this guy can coach football.
Yeah.
And you know, I wouldn't call him a player's coach, but whatever he does, he has a way of getting through to his players. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, this team is going to be there in the AFC Final Four.
Yep.
Simply because their coach is going to lead them there.
So you know I'm a big Doug Marrone fan,
yeah.
and I've been talking for quite a while about how I think he's an exceptional coach. And I totally understand your pick. Jacksonville is my number 3. And I'll explain to you really quickly why, just right now at this snapshot in time, why Baltimore was number 2 over the Jags. At the end of the day, there's 2 things. Number 1, again, if you're a Super Bowl contender, you're exceptional in one phase of the game. You're at least good or very good in the other 2. The Ravens are good offensively. You know, they're good defensively, and they're good special teams wise. The Jags are exceptional defensively. I can't even call them good offensively just yet, and my evidence for that is very simple. How do you lose at home 9-6 to the Titans?
Right.
That's the blemish right there. And again, their special teams are, I can't really call them good either. So to me, the Jags are exceptional on defense and very questionable everywhere else. And then it comes down to coach and quarterback. Like, you know, in fact, the Patriots almost made this list because of coach and quarterback. When you got the best coach and the best quarterback, I'll put you on the list. Well, right now, I'll take Harbaugh and Flacco over Marrone and Bortles just because of the shakiness of Bortles. I don't like hating on Bortles at all. But again, you see that 9-6 game, and what are you going to say about it? So yeah, I don't think they're a bad pick at all at number 2, Ray. They just missed number 2 for me. They're my number 3.
Well, Baltimore is my number 3.
Well, there you go.
We're on the same page at the AFC. My runner-ups in the AFC is the Patriots 2-2. I'm really liking what's going on in Cincinnati this year.
They were in the discussion for me,
right? And keep an eye on what's going on in Tennessee in the second quarter, right? In the second quarter of the NFL season, because they've got the Bills. The Bills, they're traveling to the Bills this week, so it will be interesting to see how they play in Buffalo. But they're definitely turning some people's heads this year. Yep.
Other than the obvious things like the Patriots, which I think they turned that around a little bit this week.
They got Edelman back.
And Pittsburgh. Does any team come to your mind immediately as just like an extremely disappointing team?
Pittsburgh.
In the AFC. Yeah.
1-2-1. I mean, they are they are an internal mess. And I would not be surprised. And we know out of all the NFL teams, the team that changes coaches and management the least is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think Mike Tomlin's job could be on the line this year.
Yeah, I won't go there yet just because of how they handle things, and they're dealing with so many distractions in that locker room. But yeah, I think my number 2, other than the ones we've already mentioned, another team that is very disappointing in the AFC that doesn't surprise me, but I know it surprises a lot of people, is Houston. Yeah. Everybody thought Deshaun Watson was going to come out like Deshaun Watson that we saw flash last year, and that defense is healthy and J.J. Watt's healthy. Well, the defense is healthy. J.J. Watt is healthy. Deshaun Watson's not quite where he was before, but the whole team is just not playing.
Clowney's not getting pressure. To I agree with you. Houston is right there. I wouldn't say right there with Pittsburgh, but they're very close for
close,
top disappointing team in the AFC.
Other than that, the rest of the AFC seems to be shaping out the way we would have.
All right, so let me ask you this. Out of the NFC and the NFC at the end of quarter one, who has the stronger division?
The NFC is the stronger conference still, but it's really not the runaway with it that we thought it was going to be. But let's just wait. Let's wait till the halfway point.
All right.
Like I said at the beginning of this show, I think there's some really good teams in the NFC that have just not decided to show it yet. So we'll see.
Okay.
That's it, man.
That's our 3 topics.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
No, just that my heart hasn't mended yet, and I'm getting ready to go into a Canadian Thanksgiving. We do Thanksgiving up here at the right time of year, and I'm getting ready to go into that and see the Browns take on the Ravens, and just hoping that they can shot. Like, nothing will heal last week more than a division win, right?
There you go.
Division win. Go Browns.
Well, you guys just heard it from Andy. It's Thanksgiving coming up. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy the games on the weekend. And better yet, enjoy this outro by, once again, Jason Kenney.
Yes, sir.
See you next week.
Good stuff.
Don't forget to check out our Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as our website, firstdownsportspodcast.com.